Hello everyone, this video goes through the story of Dark Pictures Anthology, Man of Maiden, Little Hope, House of Ashes, and Devil in Me. After World War II, two US Navy soldiers, Joe and Charlie, are spending their leisure time on the dock when a warship, Iron Maiden, stopped at Manchuria, loading some goods on board. Joe plays a coin game with one Chinese fortune teller, who tells him that he's facing danger and death, which upsets him a lot. After returning onto the ship, Joe has a quarrel with another soldier, who punches him to unconsciousness. After he awakens in the sickbay, Joe finds a dead body there. He reunites with Charlie again. They two both have some weird feeling. Finding other crew members dead, Joe notices an apparition of a young boy, which just runs away quickly. They follow the apparition to a day part and have a clear sight of it, who surprisingly turns out to be a ghostly zombie. Joe dies at the sight of a horrific face, and Charlie tries to run away, but also dies soon after in a fall. In the present day, brothers Alex and Brad are preparing for a diving expedition into the South Pacific Ocean alongside Alex's girlfriend Julia, Julia's brother Conrad, and the ship's skipper Fliss. Alex and Julia seek out to find a World War II wreck plane rumored to have crashed. Fliss suggests to inform the authorities first, which are refused by Alex, and he and Julia dive. Conrad, Fliss, and Brad remain on the boat, with Brad taking a nap in the cabin. Alex and Julia locate the plane wreckage and find out that it's actually a rescue plane. Venturing into the fuselage, they find the remains of pilots. Meanwhile, a group of fishermen crash into the buoy placed next to the boat. Conrad offers to pay their damage before the fishermen leave with anger. Before Alex and Julia return to the surface, Alex unexpectedly takes out a wedding ring and proposes to Julia. Touched by his romantic arrangement, Julia agrees with joy. The two then return to the boat, sharing their findings and good news of marriage. As the group celebrates, Julia finds a map with coordinates on which it writes Manchurian goats. Alex plans to go to the coordinates and explore the treasure, while Fliss strongly objects, claiming that this may disturb the dead ghost underwater. When they have some sleep at night, the boat is ambushed by three men, who kidnap them all except Brad, who is hiding somewhere under the boat. The kidnappers turn out to be the fisherman who has hit the boat before, and they take the group hostage. The boat is approached by a storm, which is reported to be arriving in 1 hour. When combating the storm, Fliss's boat crashes into an old ship, Iron Maiden. The kidnappers and their captive all get on board in order to get shelter from the storm. Alex and the others are locked inside the cabin where they search for escape. Conrad finds a dilapidated wall behind a desk, and with him distracting guards, Alex manages to break the wall and the group all escape. They plan to retake the disrupted cap from one of the kidnappers, but Fliss is recaptured for doing this. Then Alex, Julia, and Conrad move on to find a way out. Inside the day pod, they find some coffins, one of which is locked up by chains. Seeing soldier skeletons and some terrible supernatural phenomena, the three are all much frightened, and Conrad soon gets lost. On the other hand, Fliss is caught and escorted by one of the kidnappers back to his men. They also see some supernatural threats, which scares the kidnapper away, and then Fliss ventures forward alone. She sees herself attacked by some horrible zombies, which quickly disappear. Then she begins to see hallucinations down below the ship deck. Fliss is attacked by panicked Brad, who wakes up from his hideout on the boat, and steps also onto Iron Maiden after seeing no sign of his companions. When wandering alone, Conrad sees a beautiful nurse in an old sexy fashion. However, to his horror, this girl soon turns into a zombie and chases him into the top of the ship. When Conrad is pushed to nowhere to run, he regains his ration and discovers that one pursues him with Fliss. Alex and Julia are tailed by kidnapper, who ambush Julia from underwater. Thanks to Alex, who fights the kidnapper, Julia survives from drowning, and she quickly flees with Alex to the deck, locking their pursuer behind. On the deck, the whole group reunites and share with each other their horrible experiences on the ship. Although not sure about what's going on the ship, they decide to head toward the radio room for requesting extraction. On the way to radio room, the group found a map which indicates an unusual navigation routine. It's obvious the US force is hiding something. After again seeing some weird things which others not see, Brad surmises that Manchurian gold was on this ship, and it's actually a hallucinogenic bioweapon developed during World War II to induce hallucinations on victims. All the crew members, including pilots of the rescuing plane, died of accident caused by hallucination they saw. Brad reactivates the generator, which makes the radio work again. However, before Alex can give the base their coordinates, the radio breaks down. Brad and Julia soon hear the quarrel between two kidnappers. One is killed by the leader as the leader is being haunted by hallucination. Another kidnapper finds them and holds Julia at gunpoint, but he has turned mad and commits suicide soon after. The kidnapper leader also dies after inhaling too much poisonous gas. Alex finds his body which is consumed by many rats and recovers the distributor cap. The surviving group member reunites on the outer deck of the ship, waiting for the sunrise. The next morning, with the distributor cap reinstalled, Bliss's boat is working again and they escape from the ship of Ura Maiden. In 1972, James Clark drowns himself in alcohol after losing his job. His wife Anna complains about one of their adopted children, their youngest daughter, Megan, is behaving strangely recently, to which James pays no attention. The two have a quarrel, ending up with James bursting out of the bedroom. Megan secretly appears behind her mother and scares Anna a lot. The other three adopted children, Anthony, Tanya, and Dennis, hear their parents' conversation and also get worried. So Tanya goes to find her sister, Megan, to ensure she's okay. Megan places her doll onto the stove, which starts a house fire. Anna has locked herself inside the bedroom, so she dies of suffocation. James manages to wake up from the chair, but is also killed by the fallen floor when trying to make his way to the door. Tanya and Dennis both die during escaping. Seeing his parents, his brother, and sister lose their lives one after another, Anthony runs back into the burning house. In the present day, a school bus driver is taking some passengers on a class trip at night before he is stopped by police, who informs him that due to an accident ahead, the road is blocked and he must take a day tour through the town of Little Hope. The driver suddenly sees a girl standing in the middle of the road before he forces a turn, which makes the bus crash. The passengers awaken from concussion, including 4 students, Andrew, Angela, Taylor, and Daniel, and the professor, John. Some of them get injured, but all are able to move. As the bus driver goes missing, Professor John suggests the group to set off into the town to search for help. After hearing Professor John saying that there was some dark things happen in the town of Little Hope, Taylor and her boyfriend Daniel decide to go back, waiting for a car passing by. However, they lost their way and returned to the group. The town of Little Hope is deserted and it looks like a ghost town as the group pass by. But they enter a bar, encountering a man named Vance, whom they ask if there's a phone they can use for contacting outside. Vance reveals that as there's no power, the phone is dead for years. On the way up the road, Andrew and Angela find a door and are immediately dragged into a scene where they see a girl named Mary, who has an old-fashioned accent when speaking. They are soon dragged back to reality and the other people deny of seeing the same thing. But soon John is also dragged into a scene by a ghost-like apparition. He and Angela see a woman who has the same face with Angela but wearing old clothes. She runs off upon seeing John, and this has much frightened Angela. Then Taylor proposes to separate the group in order to facilitate finding help. Daniel and Angela go with her. Andrew and John team up. Andrew finds a pistol in a deserted house, and then he and John break into the police station to look for a radio and a phone. The two teams both see Mary again, the girl Angela has seen before. This time, they see her threatened by a priest, Carver, who is forcing her to take his order. The woman with the same appearance as Angela is Amy, and she is involved in the accusation of witchcraft, and Mary is the witness. When Amy is brought to the court, she denies the accusation while Priest Carver is plotting something with Mary. Then suddenly, Mary falls on the ground, seemingly possessed by some force. However, she returns to herself upon being touched by Amy. This inevitably solicites the accusation upon Amy. Unable to find any help, the two teams reunite. On a broken bridge, as they slowly move on, a ghostly apparition of Amy drags them to the moment when Amy is executed with Johnny. Back to the reality, the group are attacked by a demonic being which seems like Amy's remains crawling up from the river. Terrified, they soon run away. As they proceed, they see flashbacks where Priest Carver blackmails Mary into helping him frame other residents of Little Hope for witchcraft. Each of the victims is a doppelganger of the member of the present-day group. Ultimately, the group ends up at the Clark family household and witness one final flashback where Carver has betrayed Mary and says that she is using her doll to summon the evil and harm all the residents in Little Hope. Mary begs Andrew for help, and Andrew instructs his doppelganger, Abraham, who is also a priest, to reveal Carver's malice to the judge, have him taken away. Mary is saved, and she thanks Andrew for his help. Returning to the present, Andrew is revealed to have actually been a bus driver Anthony, the survivor of Clark family. He had a concussion after a road accident, and all the characters in the group or he sees from the flashbacks are hallucinated figures from his past, including his family. His regret of blaming himself for his family's death has caused the whole story in his mind, after being forced to return to Little Hope. In 2231 BC, Akkadian Empire, a Guthian soldier Krum is captured and about to be killed by Akkadian general Balato. He is temporarily spared as Balato is demanded to meet his king immediately. When Krum is taken to a prison cell for detain, he successfully kills the god and breaks free. When he steps into the king's temple, a solar eclipse is happening right away, and the temple is invaded by Gutian army surging in from outside. The king has already died, only General Balato is there, holding the gates of the intruders. In order to both escape alive, Krum and Balato ally, running away through a secret passage in a catacomb. However, they soon meet some fierce and terrifying being. Their resistance goes vain, and the two men get killed eventually. In May 2003, during the invasion of Iraq, US Air Force Colonel Eric King arrives at Camp Slayer in Baghdad to debrief a team of 4th Recon Marines who are led by CIA officer and Eric's distant wife, Rachel, about a mission to raid a village in Arabian desert. Eric believes he has found a facility underneath the village that stores Iraqi President Saddam Hussein's chemical weapons. The team includes Rachel's lover, Sergeant Nick Kay, Nick's squad leader, Lieutenant Jason Kolchak, Corporal Nathan Merwin, Jose Gomez, and Eric's assistant, Dr. Clarice Stokes. Meanwhile, Iraqi Republican Guard soldier Lieutenant Salim Othman returns home, carrying a birthday gift for his son Zain. Knowing that his son has gone out playing with his neighbor, Salim plans to wait. But his commanding officer, Captain Basri, comes and orders him to intercept a raid by US troops. Though initially reluctant because of the actual defeat in the war of Iraqi army, Salim obeys, setting out with Basri. The US troops try to find an entrance to the facility that holds the chemical weapons, but they are ambushed by Iraqi forces. Their crossing fire causes several sinkholes on the ground, plunging everybody into the ancient Akkadian temple, which is now buried beneath the sand. Inside the temple, both Iraqi and American forces are attacked by ferocious creatures, which turns out to be vampires. People being hurt by them also slowly turns into vampire as well. Salim explores the temple alone. He encounters a vampire and retrieves a metal bar from a fallen truck to use as a weapon against them. Rachel is separated from Eric after the standoff with Basri and forced into a blood-soaked pit. She comes across a wounded Clarice, who was earlier abducted by the vampires. The two climb out of the pit, but Clarice is feeling some change inside her body as she has been hurt by the vampire. The worsened condition makes her believe that she cannot make it and abandons escaping. Rachel reunites with her allies in the temple, and Eric finds that a vampire is irresistible to ultraviolet rays, which can make them instantly burn upon exposure. As they escape from the vampires toward the catacombs below, the Americans again encounter Basri, who is now joined by Salim. Salim suggests they unite to fight the monster together, to which the other reluctantly agree. The vampires continue attacking them in the catacombs, killing Basri and separating everyone once more. After the assault, Salim comes across Jason. Though distrustful towards each other at first, the two opponent soldiers finally decide to team up against their common threat. They explore the temple, fighting creatures, and go deeper until they find the remains of an alien spaceship. Nick, Rachel, and Eric follow afterwards. After they step into the inner chamber of the spaceship, the sound caused by the instruments there causes Rachel to transform as well. Jason suggests to kill her, while Eric and Nick objects. Facing Rachel's plea, Jason eventually lowers his gun, and Rachel successfully throws up her parasite from her body and stops turning into a vampire. After seeing a gigantic nest of hibernating vampires beside the spaceship, the survivors are determined to incinerate it with explosives. Nick volunteers to plant all the explosives alone before he is surrounded by vampires. Failing to retreat, Jason detonates the bomb nevertheless, killing the surrounding vampires, but fortunately only making Nick injured. After killing the vampiric Balatu, the group saves Nick out. On their way to escape to the surface, a turned Clarice shows up and attacks them, but is kicked down by Rachel. Upon returning to the surface, they are disappointed to see that the total solar eclipse allows the vampire to fly out of the sinkholes and again attack the group. Hiding inside a house nearby, the group desperately fend off the vampires with their last ammunition until the eclipse ends. The vampires besieging them are burned to death. Meanwhile, the dispatched team also arrives, rescuing them out with helicopter. In 1993, Chicago, a newlywed couple, Jeff and Mary, check into the World's Fair Hotel to celebrate a honeymoon. They are greeted by the hotel's proprietor, Henry Howard Holmes, and led to the room. Mary decides to take a bath first, as Jeff wanders in the corridor. However, when Mary lies in the tub, she feels someone sneak into the bathroom, whom she initially mistakes as Jeff and doesn't get to latch. Until she is rudely touched by this man, she finds him not Jeff, but hotel proprietor Holmes. Although Mary desperately resists to get loose, she is pushed under the water until John is dead. When Jeff returns and finds Holmes in the bathroom, he is attacked and flees into the next door room, where poisonous gas faucets are triggered by Holmes, and Jeff is poisoned dead inside. In October 2022, film crew Lonnet Entertainment, consisting of director Charlie Lonnet, reporter Kate Wilder, cameraman Mark Nestor, lighting technician Jamie Tiergan, and intern Eric Keenan, are working on a series about famous murderers. Their latest episode covers Henry Howard Holmes, who was eventually arrested and executed in 1896 for murdering over 200 people, widely considered to be America's first serial killer. Charlie gets a mysterious call from a benefactor, Grandson Dumet, who offers to host the whole crew at his estate, where he has collected a number of artifacts related to Holmes that the crew can film for their series. While the rest of the crew is wary, Charlie readily agrees since the production of the episode is currently struggling. Dumet takes the crew via ferry to the estate, located on the island off the coast of Lake Michigan. They find it to be a perfect replica of World's Fair Hotel, though they take note of Dumet's hasty behavior. After they arrive, Jamie witnesses Dumet and a little girl hurriedly leaving on a ferry, effectively strangle the whole crew on the island. Meanwhile, an unknown individual is shown crafting elaborated animatronic mannequins resembling the crew members. The crew decide to start filming in Dumet's absence, but fractures begin to form as Charlie wants to continue filming while Kate wants to leave the island for their safety. Charlie and Jamie later stumble into a booby trap set up by a man dressed as Holmes. As the trap apparently kills the groundskeeper, the estate is sealed shut. The crew is subsequently separated and forced to navigate rooms filled with dangerous traps. They see different mannequins being destroyed by traps, which makes them realize that the groundskeeper being killed previously is also a mannequin. The encounter was meant to instill fear and cause the whole crew to wander into traps whilst trying to escape. Along the way, they uncover clues, revealing that the killer's original identity was Hector Monday, an FBI agent and a profiler who faked his own death to become a serial killer himself. After a lengthy battle for survival, Charlie is trapped inside a furnace and burned alive there. Kate and Erin are put into two separate rooms, the air of which is drained by a vacuum device. Standing outside the rooms, Jamie and Mark are only able to save one of their companions by choosing to put which side of the handle on the device. They eventually save Kate, leaving Erin suffocated to death. Then Jamie is pursued by Monday, who repeatedly attacks her with a knife. Though desperately trying to run away, Jamie is injured and at the end killed by him. When Kate steps into a room where she finds Mark lying on the ground, she approaches him, trying to awaken him, but only to find that this is a disguised Monday, who stuns her with chemicals before kidnapping her. Mark awakes in a constrained small room, and through a sealed lattice door, he sees Kate next to him, tied in bed and tortured with chemical acid. The man standing beside is Monday, who shows them a video of the imposter of Doom, whose real name is Joseph Morello, a true crime author. He is the survivor of Last Visiting Group, and in order to save his own life, he is forced to lure the Lornet Entertainment film crew to the island. He then instructs Mark to continue to pose as Doom and do the same, otherwise he and Kate will die. Mark complies, makes a phone call to the person on the name list, and lures them to the island. He and Kate are freed, but after the ferry leaves the island, they too suddenly find the boat going back. On shore, Monday points them with a sniper.